Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody.
I'm so sorry.
We're having difficulties here. So let's get started with the meeting this evening, because I know we're a little late getting going here. First of all, welcome everybody to the May branch meeting of AAUW. And we're going to start off with our thought for the month. Sharon Beeler is going to introduce a guest speaker for us who's going to give us our thought for the month. Sharon, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce Dr. Erica Paddock in just a moment, but if you have any questions following her presentation, please put them in the Q&A or the chat, which Sue, I don't know if she cares which it is, but we'll communicate that way. And if there's questions at the end, we'll give her a question or two. Erica is the Director of Student Life at Crafton Hills College. We first met her when Kathy Toyster and I were working on the CU partnership, trying to establish a partnership with Crafton Hills College, and Erica was instrumental in making that happen. So we've known her a few years and she's stayed involved. We've done tabling events up there together, excuse me, and it's just been a very successful partnership. And she is a member of the branch, although you don't see her very often. So Erica, please take it away, unmute. Yeah, thank you.
There you go. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. As Sharon said, I have been working with the AAUW Redlands chapter for a few years now, and it is definitely a highlight of what I do. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that is okay with everyone. And then if you all could just give me a little bit of feedback and let me know if you could see my slides, I'd really appreciate it. Can you see that? Thank you, Peter. Okay, well, let's get to the presentation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our services. I was asked to tell you a little bit about how we support homeless students, because I know that a little bit later on you will have people talking to you about homeless resources and other forms of education. So I'll talk to you today about our homeless resources, what we provide for them. I'll also provide you some information on educational attainment data that we use and we thought could potentially be helpful to you, since Sharon mentioned that AAUW Redlands branch is considering changing their membership rules. So I thought that this data might be helpful for your organization today. And then I'll offer you a suggestion before I end my presentation. So we'll just make our way through this. We do offer a variety of resources for our homeless students. Due to legal stipulations, we are not allowed to keep track of actual homeless students. We can offer resources and they only identify 3 ways. So they'll identify on their own, they self-disclose, and then they also identify whether or not they are housing insecure in their financial aid applications. But community colleges don't really have the ability, because of legal stipulations, to have a database of homeless students. We can only help those who self-disclose. So some of the on-campus resources that we offer food and hygiene products through our food pantry, which is also out of my department. We offer clothing through our career closet. So if they have a job interview and they need suits or shoes or dresses or work appropriate attire, we have that for free at no cost to them. We offer basic health care through our health and wellness center, as well as mental health. So all students are eligible for up to 8 mental health sessions a semester at no cost to them. Obviously, if there's a situation where they would be beneficial to offer them more than 8 sessions a semester, we do make exceptions and help them as much as we can. Off campus, we have a variety of community partners, such as Redlands Family Services, the Ukaipa Family Assistance, the Salvation Army, Redlands location, and then our Community Action Partnership in San Bernardino. As far as programmatic support for our homeless students, we have a series of programs that offers additional support to them through our EOPS program, which is for students who are first-generation college students or maybe do not speak English as their first language in the home, as well as a bunch of other requirements that they may need to fulfill. We have a CARE program, our CalWorks program, our Guardian Scholars program if they happen to be foster youth, and then a student success department that helps route them to these services, as well as all of the other departments on campus. So if anyone happens to mention to our counselors, to our frontline staff, to our grounds workers, if anyone happens to mention that they are homeless, we all route them to the appropriate departments. We do offer student IDs for our students. And I mentioned that homeless students can self-identify during financial aid. And so if the financial aid process is something that they qualify for, their fees are paid. And so then they qualify for our student ID, which means that that card serves as their library card. It serves as the card that they can use to access our rec center if they want to work out, but also if they want to access our showers, no questions asked, our tutoring and our health services and so on. Our mascot is the Roadrunner. So you guys are seeing a beautiful glossy of Riker, our favorite Roadrunner. And then I also want to point out that all of our students, especially now during the pandemic, keep up with what we're doing on Insta at CHC Student Senate. If any of you guys have Instagram, you can follow us there. Also on Facebook. We have a partnership with Omnitrans, which is our local service provider. And it's basically stating that all of our students who have student IDs can go anywhere Omnitrans goes 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. as long as they're in good standing with the college, because we do firmly believe that a lack of transportation shouldn't be an obstacle to getting an education. I mentioned a little earlier that we have a food pantry. During the pandemic, it's by appointment through a service that we use called Cranium Cafe, but students can request single serving items. We have everything from granola bars to oatmeal cups to just anything that's single serving. And then we offer grab and go meal kits, which are bags full of meals for 3 to 4 people. And each one of those bags has 3 meals. So there'll be like a macaroni and cheese kit, there'll be a pack of spaghetti, a pack of pasta sauce, and then there'll be like rice, beans, and tortillas for the 3rd meal, along with other hygiene items that we can offer. Sometimes there's toothbrushes, toothpaste, dental floss, deodorant. Those sort of hygiene kits are also available in those grab and go meal kits for our students. The only requirement that we have is that they let us know their student ID number, because again, all of this money for this service comes from the state, and we do have to be able to provide data showing who takes the food or the services that we provide. The next thing I wanted to chat with you about was educational attainment. And this is based on census data. We use census data when we request labor market statistics to help the college determine what majors we're going to start offering so that the college can remain both relevant and helpful to our service area. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of what the data has revealed in terms of educational attainment since 2019. 2019 is the most current census data that is available to us. And I wanted to share this with you because Sharon mentioned that your group is considering potentially changing membership requirements from a bachelor's to another requirement. So once we have a good look at that, I'll show you some observations that I've made that might be helpful to you. Based on that data, we see that almost 50% of the residents in our area report having a high school diploma or some college. Roughly 29% of the people in our area are identifying as having a bachelor's degree or higher. So that's bachelor's degrees or graduate's degrees. And about 32% of the people in our area report having some college and an AA degree. So I'll let you simmer on that because that was very interesting to me when I looked at that. I do want to point out that some college and an AA degree potentially could mean that the AA degree is not the end all be all, that these people will continue to get a bachelor's. Also want to point out that some of the most in-demand positions right now as a result of the pandemic, we train at Crafton Hills College, respiratory therapists, biotechnology students, x-ray techs, and a few others. So I do want to point out that there is a lot of value in the AA degrees that we offer in the healthcare field, and it might be an untapped area for the chapter to consider, you know, bringing in people with those backgrounds to the organization. So I just have a few suggested recommendations as a result of what I've shared today. I would like to ask the chapter to consider changing membership so that it does not require a BA, since from the data you can see that there are more people that have some college and AA that would increase the chapter's influence, right? And increase the opportunity for other people to get connected to the organization and therefore offering the chapter longevity. And it also asks that you consider developing a branch level mentorship program with AAUW and community college students, because all of you have so much information, so much wealth of knowledge, so many things that you could offer to help motivate our students. Just for me, listening to, I hope I can say this word, how many badasses are in this room, right? With Sharon and a 91-year-old queen. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff that I have only been with you for 3 minutes and I am excited to soak up. So I can't imagine the kind of impact that you as women could have on 20 somethings, you know, single parents, people who are the first in their family. If I feel this right now and I have a doctorate, you are in this tremendous position to really help empower females in our area and make a difference in their lives. So that is all I have for you today. I will stop sharing and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Erica. First of all, the membership is open to people who have AA degrees. It's not just a bachelor's degree. What they're considering is doing away with any education requirement at all, so that anybody who even has, you know, if you have taken some community college, but you haven't completed an AA degree, you would still have an opportunity to join. And we already also have a program that we coordinate with Crafton Hills College in our local AAUW organization. So
that's how I met Sharon and Kathy Toyster. So I do apologize for misrepresenting that information. I appreciate your patience.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't see any questions at this particular point in time, but boy, that was interesting information about the program that you have set up there at Crafton Hills for the homeless. I didn't know that that was available. So that's fantastic news for the people in our area. Let me see if there's any other questions. That Cassie just said, doesn't AAUW already allow members with an AA? Yes, they do. So, okay. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming and giving us our thought for the month. And you are welcome to stay if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, Trudy Waldron was supposed to introduce our guest speakers, but she's having technical difficulties today. So I'm going to introduce our guest speakers for us. We have 2 guest speakers today. We have Peter Locke, who is serving currently as the coordinator for the Academic Case Career Program and has been in this role since January of 2016 for the Redlands Unified School District. Peter graduated from the University of Laverne in 1980, and he earned his master's degree in 2004 and his doctorate degree in 2010 from the University of Redlands. He's been in education for 37 years. Since coming to Redlands Unified 23 years ago, he has taught 8th grade English at Cope and Beatty Middle Schools, and has also served as the assistant principal at Beatty. He believes that the work being done by the academic case carriers is the most impactful work in which he has ever been involved in education, as this program works to remove barriers for students who tend to have difficult home lives. And Ruth Sotomayor is also a guest speaker this evening. She graduated in 1990 from the University of Redlands with a bachelor's degree in sociology and anthropology. She attended California State University, San Bernardino, where she earned her multiple subject teaching credential with a B-clad certification. She began teaching in Redlands in 1997, where she has had the opportunity to continue supporting English learner students. In 2002, she received her master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and later returned in 2011 to complete coursework for a PPS credential for school counseling. Ruth has been an academic case carrier since the program's inception in February of 2016, and works with foster homeless and other promised youth at Cope Middle School, as well as Redlands and Orangewood High Schools. So to start off with, let me introduce to you Peter Locke. Peter, you are on.
Sue, thank you very much. I am the guy that's going to give you the background data. Ruth is the person who is in the trenches working with the students. She's the one that's making a difference. I'm the guy behind the scenes that's going to show you the data based on what she's doing. And Erica has left, but I have to let you know, I am a first generation, not only American, but first generation college student. I was the first in my family to go. So shout out to Crafton Hills College and getting those kids and getting them going. That's it starts, you know, with that first step. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see how we do. It looks positive. All right. Oh, Ruth, you can't look at that slide yet. All right. So up here somewhere is the little thing that's going to allow me to share my like slideshow, and I can't see it. Oh no. Somewhere. Okay, so this is embarrassing because like we do this all the time, sort of, but up top, I have all of my little taskbar, and that's not what I want to see.
Go to slideshow.
Yeah, I can't. There it is. My little taskbar of all the goodies was hiding it. Okay, so I am going to talk fast. Hopefully you'll listen fast because I want Ruth to have as much time as possible. So just to give you an idea, the academic case carrier program we began in February of 2016. In 2018, we received the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission Award for the work we're doing. 2019, we received a Golden Bell from the California School Board Association. That's kind of the ultimate thing that you can get. Ruth Sotomayor, she is an academic case carrier. She is going to share some of her experiences. She is the one you're really going to want to ask questions of. I'm the coordinator of the program, and it's tough when you put an uncoordinated person in charge of coordinating things. So we'll just leave it at that. We work in Redlands, the academic case carriers, and you'll hear me call them ACCs as well. We work from grades 6 through 12 with the 450 most at promise, they used to be called at-risk youth. If you were to go to Vegas and say, show us the 450 youth in Redlands that you think are most likely not to graduate, that's who we get to work with. And so there are, our students are kind of defined in different categories, and the goal is to move them from red to blue. Our red students may be foster youth that are in unstable environments or homeless youth that are moving around. Many of them have experienced recent trauma, so they're carrying that emotional concern. They're failing math and English. Those are the big things we look at because those are the California test scores really focus on those two subjects. They may be low income, they may be English learners, not on track to graduate. And you can see the blue students as we move to the right, they tend to be more stable. They're just not on track to graduate and they've got low test scores. So the goal is to go from the red with the higher needs to work them to the blue. And one of the things we do is with our students that are in the red level, and Ruth will be able to talk about this more, they require more needs. So the ACCs may be meeting with them 3 or more times a week. And these are the students that need support with the emotional. They need help with basically everything. And they need to know that they can feel safe, they can trust someone. So once that's happened and they're feeling their basic needs are being met, then we can get them coming to school. And once they're coming to school, then we can start focusing on academics. We can't jump into academics if our students are hungry, or if they're not feeling trusted, or if they're not feeling safe. So it's building a rapport, and over time we then move like to the blue category where we can focus more on the academics. So you can see that each category drops. An orange is twice a week, a yellow might be once to every 2 weeks, and students move in between the levels. A blue student might be in a stable environment and suddenly something will happen, a guardian will pass away or something, and they suddenly are in the red. There's the emotional trauma and everything. So the ACCs are constantly moving back and forth with their students. Since the beginning of this year, and this is on distance learning, so this has been a slower year for us because it's tough to get in touch with students. You can't call them from class if they're not in class or they're not returning phone calls. Everything is being done, virtually, which has really slowed things down. These numbers are also low because the ACCs do so much in a day. It's difficult to document everything. think of yourself having to document everything you do throughout the day. I got in the car, I went to Stater Brothers, I didn't like this deal, you know, I talked to the cashier. There becomes too much. So we know these numbers are low. But this year alone, the ACCs, and there are 9 ACCs, they each work with approximately 50 students. So this is for 450, again, the most at promise, sorry, it's a new term, students in the district. We have had almost 1,700 contacts just with parents alone to talk about their children, to work with them, to answer their questions. Almost 1,000, little below, with staff to talk about the students, to discuss grades, to share concerns. With the students alone, there's been over 6,500 contacts with those 450 students. And that can be everything from, why aren't you in class? Wake up, to congratulations on your being accepted to this college. And I have to tell you, we just had a student this year, she just got a full ride scholarship to UC Irvine. So we're all over the place with our kids. Some, you know, are doing amazing things, and others, we're pulling them along just to get them to class so that we can get them moving further. 76 contacts with outside agencies, and that might be social workers, that might be with family services, or with child protective services, things like that. 261 home visits during COVID. So our people are going out, they're maintaining the safe distance, they're wearing the masks, we always go in pairs, but 261 home visits to these 450 students to either deliver supplies. Ruth, I know, is a huge deliverer of food to families and things, and I'm sure she'll talk about that. I'm planting seeds for you, Ruth. But in our database, our computer database, there have been over 10,700 entries for our 450 students alone. These are some of the organizations with which we have worked, or sorry, and trainings that we have been a part of. I'm not going to go through them all, but over the course of the years, we have people come in and talk to us. We have gone to places so that we are better informed about what is available to our youth. And when we started, it was difficult because people wanted to give us things and support us. And I was taken aback at that. I felt very guilty, like, what? No, we need to give back to you. And we've come to realize, no, this is a two-way street. Because you help us, we can help the students. And there's no shame or guilt in that. It's like, thank you, so that we can have more of an impact. Some of the major community organizations with whom we work are here. I've put in red Angel's Closet, and Pat Williams, it's a nonprofit organization, but Pat Williams is a godsend in our community. And I know that there's a donation coming to us. What we would really like to do is, I would love to donate that money to Pat Williams and Angel's Closet, if that's a possibility. But Pat is one who will get clothes and things, and I'm sure you're familiar with her, to parents, to students primarily. She'll get our students caps and gowns, yearbooks, those books at the end of the year, couldn't think of what they're called. And in this photo, this is a young man who Pat had helped him get a suit so that he could go to prom. And so he came back. Sorry, Ruth, I told myself I wasn't going to cry. I'm not going to cry. This stuff kills me. This young man was showing Pat pictures of from his prom, and without Pat's support, he would not have been able to go. So this is what's going on in our community. Our targeted students over the last 6 years that we've been doing this, roughly over the last 6 years, 95% of our students are low socioeconomic. They're getting free lunch, free breakfast. You can see the blue is our foster youth. This year, it's about 20% of our 450 students are foster. You can see our homeless population. It's dropped this year, and part of that is from distance learning. We don't know where people are, so it's difficult to keep track. We know that number will go up, but right now it's about 25% of our families are considered homeless. And you can see the English learners. The numbers are fairly consistent over the last 6 years. When we began in spring of 2016, we had 10 weeks to work with our students. The program started, we were building it as we went. We didn't know what it was going to look like. So it was basically get to know kids. So the spring of 2016, that is our base year. And the state of California, attendance 90%, below 90% attendance is considered chronic, and that's the concern. So you can see since we began, we have been above 90%. We tend to drop in the spring. It's a district-wide phenomenon. Spring of 2018, our attendance dropped district-wide. Elementary students, on average, every school, the attendance dropped, and we don't know why. So we followed pattern with that. Spring of 2020, our attendance actually went up, and that's because our attendance was frozen. That's when COVID began. And so in the fall, you can see we've dropped a little bit. When we added our foster, the state of California began adding foster youth, separating them in fall of 2018. So we began at that time as well. But there is our foster youth attendance, with the one exception of the spring. Our foster youth actually have a better attendance rate than our overall students. And I have to tell you, when you look at the overall students, the foster numbers are in there. So if you were to just pull the foster and not include the average students, there would be an even wider gap. High school GPA 2.0 is a key factor for us. When a student has a 2.0 GPA, they can engage in extracurricular activities. They can be in band. They can do sports. They can do the different things where that 2.0 is important. Spring of 2016, when we began, again, 10 weeks, our seniors, our high school students at that point, actually was an 1.86 GPA. It bumped up to a 1.9, but that's kind of our base level. Since that time, the average ACC student in high school in our program, if they're with us at the end of the year, their GPA has been above that 2.0 GPA. At our foster youth, and they are above our average. So again, the state of California tracks heavily. What are you doing for your foster? How are you looking after them? And our numbers show that the foster youth that are with us are doing better than our average student. In the state of California, in 2019, and Dr. Paddock mentioned 2019, that's the most recent data. In the state of California in 2019, the average graduation rate for foster youth was 64%. And just a few years ago, it had been lower than that. Nationwide, the average graduation rate for foster youth is 50%. 1 out of every 2 foster youth will graduate from high school. Of those 50%, I just blanked on the number will go to college. And of the number of foster youth that will go to college, it's about that graduate, it's about 3%. Number-wise, it works out to about 1 out of every 100 foster youth that attend college will actually graduate. And that's why there's such a strong focus on foster youth. Here in Redlands, in blue, you can see our foster our average academic case carrier student graduation rate. Off to the left in Redlands, sorry, let me back up. State of California, our average graduation rate is 85.9%. In Redlands, our average graduation rate is 93.3%. In blue is our academic case carrier student senior graduation rate. And again, those are from the 450 students who are most expected not to graduate from high school. We're above the state, still a little below Redlands, but respectable numbers. Better than respectable. We're doing pretty darn cool. Our foster youth, you can see the numbers there, and I have to share because you can go online and see foster youth numbers and it will be very different. The state of California recognizes if a foster youth is with the school district for 30 consecutive days, that school district owns that foster youth data. So we can get a foster youth senior in August. That senior can leave us at the end of September and we never know anything else about them. We own their data. They can go to 4 different high schools their senior year, and that data is tied to those 4 schools if they have done 30 consecutive days. So our numbers are only for the foster youth who are with us at the end of the school year. So last year, for example, we had an 87% graduation rate among our foster. I believe we had 9 foster youth seniors, 8 of them graduated. The one who did not came to us in May. He was behind over 100 credits. We knew he wouldn't graduate, and we were hoping he would come back for a 5th year. He did not, but because we own him, he was with us, his numbers are in there. So we are not manipulating numbers. This is what's happening with the youth that are with us. And we find that if kids stay with us, they tend to be more successful. Cal State San Bernardino did a study in 2019. They looked at test scores, and they found that for three consecutive years, the foster youth in Redlands Unified scored in the top 25% for 3 years in a row in graduation rates, in math and English scores on the standardized testing. And we were one of 3 districts in San Bernardino County that held that criteria. One was Etiwanda, which is an elementary district. One was Chaffee, which is a high school district. Redlands was the only K-12 district where our foster youth for 3 years in a row were in the top 25% for graduation, doesn't include elementary, but for English and for math scores. So this program and the work people like Ruth are doing is we're seeing the benefits, we're seeing the payoffs. So with Ruth, can I tell this story?
Sure. Just don't
Okay.
mess it up.
I'm going to try not to mess this one up. So this is a young man named Noah. Noah was one of our ACC students. And this is what the power that the ACCs have. They work with students year after year. So Ruth can start working with a student in 6th grade, and she will work with that student until the end of 12th grade. Our other students, they have counselors in middle school, new counselor in high school. An ACC student will see that familiar face. So Ruth can have potentially 7 years from 6th grade through 12th grade to work with a student. And so the knowledge of the family with the student, the connection is powerful. And so that's something that's a benefit of this program. And so year after year, we're seeing these kids. So Ruth was working with Noah here. Ruth is working with 50 students. The high school counselors have 450 to 500. So the ACCs are able to do things that the high school counselors are not. We don't schedule kids into classes. We're not worrying about their, oh, well, that's the big thing I can think of, putting them in the classes. The site counselors do that, and the ACCs work with the students. So this is Noah. Noah graduated from Orangewood High School, and I'm going to say it was a Wednesday in January. On Thursday, the day this picture was taken, I think I'm right, Ruth, they were at San Bernardino Valley College. Ruth was able to, the day after he graduated, go with him to Valley to take care of financial aid, to get books, to get his classes taken care of. And then on the following Tuesday, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day, Noah was able to start classes. So there was no, from January to September, seventh month, the summer meltdown, they call it, where, well, I'm done, I don't want to go to school. He was in college within a week, and that's because Ruth was able to spend time with him. And Barbie Fisk Phillips, who is our office manager, was the one with Ruth, because our people never go alone. There's always a second person. And I believe it was Barbie, who is a member of AAUW. She was able to go and support Ruth as she supported this student. So our office is a major conglomeration. It's everyone working together for the betterment of these students. And this young man is now working in some capacity with Redlands Police Department. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Ruth, because Ruth is a miracle maker. You are about to hear from one of my personal heroes, someone who changes lives on a daily basis. Ruth.
That's a lot of pressure, Peter. Thank you so much.
It's what you do every day, right?
Yes. And
I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So it's honestly hard for me to believe that I do this that I get paid. I always wanted to be a social worker, and I'm able to work in that capacity. And Noah, if you see him around, he is working for Redlands Police Department. He is on citizenship patrol. So it's funny, I have to make sure I'm not on my phone when I'm driving through Redlands, because sometimes he does see me. But great, just a beautiful story. And one of the things I do love about this program is that when students do graduate from Redlands Unified Schools, they do keep in touch with us, and they do reach out to us, and they do ask for help and support. And everyone in the office is willing to do that. We want to make sure that all of the students that are in the program and that have graduated from the program still know that they have someone that they can rely on. So that's one thing I really do love. So I don't know really how much more to say, except that I can explain a little bit about what I do during the week. We do all have different sites, and Peter tries to keep it at least, a minimum of 3 sites. I work at Cope Middle School, and then the students that I work with, they then go to high school, and they go to Redlands High School. The students that I continue to support on my caseload. I do have students at Orangewood High School as well, which that is one of my favorite schools and places to be. That's a really lovely little family over there. I don't know if you are familiar with Orangewood. And I do everything from, checking in with parents, especially now that the pandemic has, had a huge impact on the students as well as the families. Just making sure that they have the support that they need if they have questions. For example, Peter had sent out some information about rental assistance through the county. And so a lot of us made sure that the families that are struggling a little bit right now, that they got that information. We are, our whole team is getting ready for the senior banquet. So we do things like make sure that the students have access to things like senior photos. That's quite costly. And so we have a group of photographers that every year they volunteer their time to take pictures of the kids so that they have that, that memory, and families come and the parents come, and it's really, really neat to work with all of the, not just the students, but the families. You get to know the families of these students. And we do, most everyone that has families that need the food. They have the Children Nutrition Services. They have, I think, what is it, Peter, like 6 different locations where families can go through the drive-through and pick up a food box. And a lot of that food I'm hearing is being supplied by local farmers and people in the community, which is a beautiful thing. And just to drive through there to pick the food up is just such a joy every morning. And it starts at like 5 to 8 on Wednesdays. And families that can't get over there, well, we will figure it out, and we deliver the food to the doorstep with those grab and go bags. So that's another service that we provide. School supplies, Angel's Closet, outside referrals for counseling. We work with the Assistance League, the Teens Be Seen, so that they can get like a Target gift card. And when we go with them, and the student and the parent, or another academic case carrier, so that the kids have clothes, so they're not embarrassed to go to class with maybe something that's not new, or is, a lot of times families just can't afford to buy new school clothes. So the Teens Be Seen is nice. We also have worked with Heroes and Helpers during Christmas, and that's the Redlands Police Department. And a lot of the students on our caseload, if they are not receiving services of some other kind, we try to spread the wealth. They do get to go shopping with a police officer, and that's creating good relationships in the community as well. We have an SRO officer. I know we have one at Redlands High School. Do all the other sites have that, Peter? Okay, so we work with the SRO officers, and really it's just-
Ruth, hang on a sec.
Yes.
Ruth is slipping into educational talk. SRO is a school resource officer. And so Citrus Valley High School and Redlands High School have a Redlands police officer who is on site full-time. Redlands East Valley has a sheriff, because in their area, that's sheriff's jurisdiction. So the SRO, it's a police officer or a sheriff who is on site. Okay. And don't forget, Ruth.
What? I don't know what that means.
YMCA, Ruth.
Oh, yes. Yes, the YMCA provides memberships for our families and for our students. We've used that when, for example, I've used it especially at Orangewood when students are trying to earn credits to get their PE requirements done, but also for, I'm actually going to deliver one on Thursday to a student who really wants to play basketball and doesn't really have a place to do that. And there are other family members that want to learn how to swim. And it's just a nice, it's a membership that they can use throughout, it's for the full year. So it's just, like I said, I can't believe that I do this for my job. It's just building bridges, and I'm getting everyone to work together, and it takes a village. It truly does. So I'm not sure if you have other questions. Feel free, if you ever wanted to shadow one of us, I would be more than happy. And I'm sure there will be other ACCs that would love to have you come watch what we do. Yeah, it's just, you name it. We think outside the box, and if a family or a student needs something, we will, if it's doable and realistic, we will try to make it happen for that student, so that they feel well supported, they feel accepted, they feel loved, and they are successful, because that's the goal. Did anyone have questions that they wanted to ask?
I'm gonna share, we had a family who did not have a fridge. That's a basic life necessity, and all they had was an ice chest. And so we put out a request to our team, we need a fridge. We've had this happen twice, and within 24 hours, that family had a fridge. The second time, one of our team members put it out on Facebook, and bam, there it was. So it's exciting to be on this side, because we get to share it. And I'll go back to when we started and people said, how can we help you? And there was that guilt of, no, if someone gives, you have to give back. And we've come to realize that there are people who are looking to help others, and we don't know how. And so when sometimes that request is put out, we need this, and you put it on Facebook, bam, suddenly you've got more fridges than you know what to do with, and you're picking and choosing almost to say thank you for helping this family, who will now have a fridge, so that when people like Ruth brings them food, they have somewhere to put it, instead of an ice chest where they have to keep buying ice and everything. It's absolutely amazing that we have kids coming to school faced with the circumstances that they are faced with on a daily basis, but they keep persevering because people like Ruth, people like others in the community who are unknown to them, are their champions, who believe in them and keep pushing them along. So.
All right.
Yes.
We thank you guys so much for all the information. We do have a few questions here. And if you, the members that are on here, if you do have other questions, make sure that you type them in the Q&A section down there at the bottom. First of all, are you working with special needs students? Patricia Stubbs wants to know.
Yes.
We absolutely do. Peter, because I do have some students on my case, though, that do receive special education services, but Peter might want to explain the ERMS counseling. If that's in the IEP, then they also have an ERMS counselor, and he would probably be better able to explain that.
The ERMS counselor is a educational mental health resource specialist, I think is what I'm drawing a blank, because Ruth threw me for a loop. We have in our database, we look at numbers, and it's how is the student's attendance, that gets points, their grades gets points. If they're homeless or foster, that gets points. Actually, special ed students receive negative points for us. And that was because the first list we ran, we had 8 ACCs. 352 of our 400 students were special education students, and we're not a function of special education because they receive support. So we're going after those kids that are being lost through the cracks. I believe the last year, our number, about 18%, 1 out of every 5 of our students with special education. If they're foster or homeless, they are immediately on our caseload. But we also have those families that are going through, trauma, their attendance is bad, and things of that nature. Many of their needs are being met through special ed, through the ERMS counselor, the educationally related mental health services counselors who are in their individualized education plan, their IEP, who meet with them certain numbers of minutes a month. So yes, about 20% of our students are special ed, but we are careful to make sure that we are trying to get as many students extra support outside of special ed because the special ed kids are already getting support elsewhere. We're going after those that they're unrepresented in other ways.
All right. Another question, Catherine Gifford wrote in, do more than 450 students need help? Are you limited by funding or other reasons?
We actually, we have two of our people that are leaving us. One is going to become an ERMS counselor, and another one is going to become a counselor at Cope Middle School. So we keep infiltrating. The ACCs are going out into the district, and it's like having a full-time ACC. So Ruth is with another ACC at Cope, and now one of our current ACCs is going to become a regular counselor. So it's like having three on that site. But it's, from what I've heard, we're actually going to be hiring a 10th ACC. So that would take us to 500. Is that enough? No. We'll,
However,
I could use an ACC.
one of the things that's happening in Redlands Unified School District, however, is that they are really placing great emphasis on what school counselors do, so that school counselors will be able to do some of the things that the academic case carriers are doing. And I'm pleased that the district is moving in that direction. I'm taking things off of like a school counselor's plate that takes up time, so that they really, you become a school counselor to counsel and work with students. And so a lot of those administrative tasks are now being reconsidered, so that school counselors that are at the sites have more flexibility and more time to be able to counsel and do what we're doing. And so working with them, I really see positive change happening in the district, so that more students who don't have an academic case carrier will also receive services. Does that answer that question, Sue?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And yes, it is funding that limits us as to what we can do. Yeah.
The other question is, and this is something that we all can address too, is how can our organization, American Association of University Women, help you? Is there something we can do? Like you mentioned the refrigerator thing, and then you put out feelers for anybody who had a refrigerator. Would it be possible for you, if you have a need like that, to contact the officers of the local branch of the Redlands AAUW and say, we have this need, can you contact your members and see if anybody can provide it for us?
Ruth, I don't know. What do you think, Ruth?
Yes, please. That would be awesome.
Yes.
I mean, yes, absolutely. We would love that. We would appreciate that. One of the things that happens during the holidays is we've had people from within district that have done tremendous, like they put together these little gift bags, and sometimes there are so many that we need help putting those together. It doesn't necessarily even have to be, yes, we would love to have whatever people can donate, and it could be their time too. So yes, absolutely. That would be great.
Okay.
And,
All right.
And I encourage you, people don't know where we are. And so we are located on Redlands East Valley High School campus. But we're a district office, but we're on the back side of the campus on King Street. It's where the old daycare, the Barbara Phelps daycare used to be. And usually if we mention that, people know, oh, the daycare means something to them. I can type into the chat our phone number. I can put in our emails. If you would like to come and see, if you would like to come and ask, what can we do? You know, we can put you to help. For our senior event, Ruth mentioned the pictures. We have amateur photographers who volunteer their time, and they're taking pictures right now. And then Barbie and Edith, our two secretaries, will spend time. They print the pictures. They'll frame one with the students' school colors in the background and everything. We also, if we can, we try to get for our foster youth. We try to get their CUME folders and pull off their pictures from when they were little all the way through, because for many of our foster youth, these are the only pictures they will have. They don't have any pictures of themselves as children because they've been bounced around so much. The county gave us, I think we got 80 Kindle Fires. And so we had wrapped them up as Christmas gifts for our seniors. And then we weren't able to give them out because that's when COVID hit a high peak. So right now, Barbie and Edith, they're taking all the Christmas wrapping off and they're putting on wrapping, and we're going to hand these out to our seniors at the end of the school year. Like, here's a Kindle Fire. Congratulations. Thank you. So even things like, if you're good at wrapping, if you're better than wrapping it than I am, yeah, please. So I will type Ruth and my contact information in, as well as our office phone number. Please give us a call, because there are things like that might seem so unimportant, but boy, those are huge things.
Yeah, please do that. That would be very helpful for us. One more question. How does one become an ACC?
Well, you can, you have to have a Peter, if I'm not mistaken, you have to have a PPS, correct? Your pupil personnel credential, or you have to have a master's in social work. Is that what the qualifications are now?
Now I'm trying to type, and now you're saying this. It's, you have to have a PPS, a pupil personnel services credential, or a master's in education. But boy, in January, I think it was, we interviewed our first person without a PPS. She had a master's in education. I have a master's and a doctorate in education. And I have learned so much from working with the ACCs that it's going to take someone who has been working with foster youth or homeless youth, or doing more than just teaching, to be able to answer our questions and find the need. We also look for 2 years of working with at-promise youth. And so many of our people can tell us, I've worked with this foster agency. Many of the people we hire have been former social workers, people who understand what these youth need. It's tough to get someone straight out of college unless they have put time in the past. Yeah. During their internship or in college working with foster youth, because we really need someone who understands this, because we're going to need to train them on what do we have in Redlands, let's move forward. We don't necessarily have the time to train them about, well, here's foster youth and here's what they need. If I applied to be an ACC with all the fancy letters after my name, after 25 years of teaching, I could not have been an ACC, because I'd worked with students in the classroom. I did not know enough about my students' lives and where they came from and what was available and the different supports that people needed. How's that, Ruth?
Yes, and we are always trying to diversify. So if you know someone who is interested in becoming an ACC, they did run some positions, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, Peter? And one of the things that Redlands Unified is doing, which I'm really proud of, is that they are really trying to diversify and kind of bring in more knowledge and like diversity, really. We have one of our ACCs that's now the coordinator of equity and diversity in the district. That's the first time that's ever happened. And so that was really created out of from a need of what students wanted that. That's what students wanted when they went to the school board. The school board heard that. And so the district decided, okay, we need this. This is something that the community is asking for. And so now we have one of our ACCs at the district level. So she's really trying to put her feelers out and really get people to apply within the district, but also people that have a wealth of knowledge that that are interested in teaching in Redlands and working in Redlands. So if you know anyone, please make sure you pass the word on.
I have to say, I think your office manager is terrific for that position. Barbie Fisk-Phillips is doing a wonderful job there.
You can't wait. No, time out. You can't say that here, because then she's going to come to work tomorrow and want a raise.
And she deserves one.
Barbie, I have to tell you, when it came time, I got this position and our phrase was, we're building this bridge as we cross it. And with the pandemic and everything, okay, we've built the bridge. Now we're redoing the bridge, and the bridge needs to look different. But when we hired, I was the go-to. And I saw the names for office manager, and Barbie's name was there. And I had worked with Barbie in different capacities. it worked out in such a way that we did not even have to interview. And it was like, no, I want Barbie.
Yeah.
And it was a done deal. And Barbie has spent time in her past as a suicide counselor. There could be no one better, because she has the passion, as you know, Sue, and the heart for these children. And she's a counselor to us as well. I know that, Ruth will call and talk to her. I'll talk to her. And she is, I refer to Barbie as she is the moral compass of our program.
Yeah.
When we're struggling with something, Barbie is the one who can say, this is what I think we need to do. Edith, our other secretary, she's the sparkle of our program. She's the one she's fun and she's energetic, and she brings a sense of levity and just relief that we all need. And the two of them work so amazingly together. And this program, and Ruth, I'm sure you'll agree, this program without the two of them, it would not be where it is. They're involved, they are a part of it. It works from them, it builds from them.
Well, thank you both so much for coming and presenting your program to us. I've learned so much about this, and I'm sure all of the rest of our members have too. And again, make sure that you type in there your telephone number and everything so that we can contact you if we need to. And then if you need help, don't hesitate to contact me as president, or Erica Wilson, who will be president next year. So.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for this opportunity, ladies.
Thank
you make
you.
such a difference. And if I can take this moment to say, the program you do for the girls
STEM.
at the U of R, yes, phenomenal. Because talk about the change you make, and you may not see it, and sometimes that's what's frustrating, is you plant seeds and you make change, and that's it, and you never know. And Ruth talked about talking to kids who have graduated, the impact that program has. And when I was assistant principal at Beatty Middle School, I always wanted to go, and they always gave me grief and said, no, it's for girls, you can't go. But absolutely phenomenal. And seeing the girls come back to Beatty, after that, as a teacher and the assistant principal, they were excited. So thank you. Shout out to you. That's absolutely, please don't stop that, whatever you do. That's how you can help us, because you plant those seeds of challenge, of excitement. You allow them to see what is a possibility for them. So thank you there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, we have a business meeting now, so you don't need to stay if you don't need to, but want to, but you're welcome to if you want to. Okay.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. Okay, let's move on in our program. Next, we have Shirley Harlan. Shirley is going to present to us some information about the current ERA amendment and where it stands and what needs to be done to bring that to fruition. So Shirley, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay,
it's all yours.
Yeah, listening to the former information that we had, I don't know if you remember, but I was director of Las Amigas Girls Home in Redlands. And AAUW in this community, as he described it, has always been very helpful, because you never know when you're going to make a difference in someone's life. And as he said, you don't know this when it happens. But I was just, if in, let's see, what was it, 1960, had all the resources they're talking about now, that would have been great. But that's when we started to have a coordinating council and identify those families that needed help and came together. But didn't have someone to handle the statistics. But the increased numbers just amazed me. But so that was my thinking after listening to what we've just heard. But let me tell you about ERA. And while we're meeting tonight, things are happening right now. The proposed amendment to our Constitution of the United States, Equal Rights Amendment, has 3 parts. Section 1 is 24 words. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Section 2. The Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation and the provisions of the article. Section 3, The amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. Now, a short history. Alice Paul was head of the National Women's Party, had worked hard for women to vote, but knew there was still more needed. In 1921, she believed the 19th Amendment would not be enough to ensure that men and women would be treated equally, regardless of sex. That was 100 years ago. 100 years ago. In 1943, Alice Paul further revised the amendment to the present 24 words that Congress passed in 1972. And for almost 30 years, feminists have been debating their differences. During those years, gains have been made in the courts, and concern was still and still is that they would be removed with the amendment that is still debated today. Now, let me say, amendments do not change the debates, but what it does provide our democracy to have the debates, and it preserves our Constitution. In 1776, okay, men were in the room, women were property of the men, daughters needed their father's permission to marry, and you can go on and on and on. Words matter in our Constitution, and the word sex is the broadest word that we have for the human being. You know, there are generations today that believe women are equal under the law and have none or little knowledge of this proposed 28th Amendment. In 1972, the ERA was placed before state legislatures to acquire their ratification by 3/4. It takes 38 states of state legislatures. And we finally did this last year, 2020. Nevada in 1917, Illinois in 2018, and Virginia in 2020. Now, what should happen is that the archivist or the head librarian of the United States, David Ferriero, writes the 28th Amendment into the Constitution. And our Congress can do a resolution to acknowledge that action. He has not done this action because the Trump administration, through Attorney Barr, ordered David not to do it. Now, the present Biden administration is restructuring the Attorney General Department, and ERA activists are pressuring to rescind the Barr's orders. Now, here's what's happening now. Tomorrow, Wednesday, May 5th, Equal Means Equal is versing David Ferriero will be in the First District Court of Appeals in Massachusetts, presenting oral arguments. Now, if this case is dismissed, as another case in the DC courts in Virginia dismissed one, that could be the end of the road for the original Equal Rights Amendment. 97 more years of mobilizing, organizing, ratifying will come down to this decision of one judge in Massachusetts. That's what's happening right now. Now let's go back to Saturday. Saturday, May 1st, for 3 hours, over 86 organizations held a Zoom national town hall. It was chaired by Kamala Lopez and a distinctive panel. The goal of the town hall was to encourage an inclusion and transparent dialogue regarding the Equal Rights Amendment strategy for 2021 between the leadership of the relevant national women's organization, the grassroots advocate, as well as the public, many of whom are confused and concerned by the present politics surrounding the amendment and its status, now that the new Biden and Harris administration has taken over. Now, you know, I'm 91 years old. At that town hall, it was uplifting, I will tell you, and accomplished its goal that we believe in unity and solidarity. That's what was the important thing that came out of this town hall, and that any legal or strategic disagreements among us will benefit from open and honest discussion to building that unity and finding consensus on how best to move forward to achieve the Equal Rights Amendment for American women and the immediate future under the present administration. How many of you were at that? Can you raise your hand and were you on that? Because I sent out a lot of notices to as many as I could. So I hope you were. And I just want to say the strength of women is that we can debate. And we have as many differences as any other organization that discusses anything. That's our strength comes from that. Because out of debate comes new ideas. And maybe we can only find out of that new idea, maybe a little bit that we can agree on. We move forward on that. And that's when action comes. Now, here's what's happening. Tomorrow, in the top of the chat, I put how you can listen to the court, which is on YouTube. It's streaming on YouTube, and you can watch it and see what happens. We're about 5th on the list in that court. So it starts early, and we have about, I say we, our lawyer who is in this, I'm talking like it's a mine, but it's all of ours, has about 15 minutes to present the argument and basis for why the archivist, David, should put this in the Constitution. Now, he is a top librarian of the country. He is, as any employed person that we pay our taxes to, they're not supposed to be political and make any decisions. And his job is not to make a decision on it. He just takes those 24 words and writes them in the Constitution. So for all practical purposes, we do have those 38 states. It is the 28th amendment at this point in time. However, it's just not written there. So let me just say, if the worst happens, and in 2023, 2 years, it takes to get it fully there, we're going to be in court, because there's no precedent for any of this that has happened in this last 100 years. There's no precedent. So we're in new territory, no matter what we do or say or how we move forward. So that's one thing you can do, is to be aware of what's happening tomorrow. Okay, now I talked about the Biden administration. You know that the Attorney General's office has been very much politicalized by the past Trump administration. So he has a lot of work to do in the new administration now to sort those things out and to hire those attorney generals. And that is in process at this point. So it probably demands a little of our patience. However, we need to keep letting them know we're watching what happens, and we wish it will happen as soon as possible. So that's another action we can take right now. And we can certainly keep calling David and saying, look, you have a job that we're paying for, do it the way it says that you're supposed to do it, and write those 24 words in. That's another thing we can do. And after tomorrow, and we see what this final court thing is, we'll be able to strategize how to move forward. And I'll certainly keep you in touch with that. And the important thing is that we will continue to move forward. We need this. We need this so much at this point. You would think, with all our concern about fair pay and all this, we'll still have those discussions, even with this amendment. But what it will do when we're in the Constitution, we're a country of law, okay? That's where we are. This Constitution is built on a country of law. That's why we have a Supreme Court. That's why we have a legislature, and that's why we have 3 departments with a president. But we're a country of law. So things that we do need that. And when, as women, we're not in the Constitution, when we go to law to put our case forwards, it could be passed. The judge could say you're right, and the judge could say you're wrong. In legislation, they could put legislation in and then take it out. But with it in the Constitution, it gives us a much more level to be able to move forward and be fully in what we can be as women. And this will help, definitely, will help the men. It'll help violence. It'll help all kinds of things. The other thing that happened today, as I was preparing this for you, is that the case that was dismissed in Virginia this month on the same thing in order to get David to do his job, it was dismissed. And so those attorneys are refiling to protest that and try to get it in again. Now, these district courts are the courts just under the Supreme Court. Whether it ever goes to the Supreme Court, we don't know. The Supreme Court usually does not take something that's political. Now, some of our movement may sound political. That becomes a problem. But basically, we do not feel that it's political. It's just a right that we need to have and been fighting since we had the vote. So I think I have given you the update, which is happening as we talk about this. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to give some respect to them.
Shirley, can I just say, Shirley and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I was wondering explicitly what sort of things we can do. Like, for instance, we can write to or call this David, whatever his name is,
I put his phone number in the chat. His phone number is in the chat.
And you know, ask him to get going on getting the amendment into the Constitution. And I wondered also, is that town hall available for people to watch?
Yes, it is.
Is it on YouTube?
Yes, it's still on YouTube. I
Okay.
don't know if the whole 3 hours is. They might have selected parts of it. I don't know. But if you Google equal means equal rights amendment town hall, March 1st on YouTube, it'll come up.
Also, the film equal
It's
means
equality. Let's see.
equal means equal.
Oh, let's see. Where is that thing? I got it.
But there's a really good film. We had it available a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
The Public Policy Committee showed it.
Legalize equality. This is 30 minutes. If you haven't seen it, want to show it, I can send you or give you a copy to do this.
Okay.
You see it?
Thank you.
Everybody see it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I don't believe I see any questions on here, but Ellen Grunbaum said, thanks, Shirley. This is a valuable information. So I attended that conference on Saturday, and it was interesting to hear the arguments. The part of the problem here is the reason he's not putting it in the Constitution is because he doesn't believe that it has been legally done because it went over the time limit for those last three states. But that's a major argument that has to be decided by the courts.
Let me address that.
Yeah.
When there isn't that in the way that amendments are placed in our Constitution. So it's maybe something was in the preamble, but the preamble is not our amendment. So all of our arguments, and if you go on, you can find what our attorneys have said in court, and when you listen to them, we're on the right side of this argument of what is and what isn't. And what David received from the Trump administration was an email and Barr ordered him not to put it in. But can you imagine something with a deadline? We have 50 states, and that they all had to do something within so much time. That's not realistic in our real world. And so many things have changed in terms of our states. And remember, our democracy is the government is one part of it. The states are another. The government doesn't tell what the states do. And so each state geographically and in their own way are at different stages. So realistically, you couldn't set a time when it all had to be done. And I just want to point out too, that once a state ratifies the ERA, they cannot rescind it. So once that legislature does it, it's there. And we have those 38 states now. And that's what it says in our Constitution. When you got the 38 state, you've done it, and it is a amendment. And this is now the 28th Amendment in our Constitution. And also, I just want to say that in the world, our democracy has been very successful for its years, but we can't be passive about it. We got to continue to be active in it and find a niche for yourself to be active. Your voice makes a difference no matter when you do it. So I hope you take some action. Call the Biden's administration. They don't have their phones up, but you can find a way to leave a message. Let them know that you need them to hurry up and get that department working correctly. And you need to let David know. I've called him at least 3 times and left messages to tell him, hey, do your job. But they need to hear from us. They need to hear from us.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. We appreciate you. All right, let's move on. Deborah, you're up next. Deborah's going to give us a little information about a program that it's called the 2-Minute Activist Program that AAUW has created. And I'm going to share my screen while she does that so that you can see the information that she has. Let me get it up here. There we go. Okay. All right. All right, Deb, it's all yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes this evening on behalf of the Political Public Policy Committee to encourage you to consider becoming a 2-minute activist. And as you can see, Sue put this up, the steps to becoming a 2-minute activist. It's really pretty simple. I'll put it in the newsletter or ask Kay to include it in the newsletter, but you just navigate to the aauwaction.org site and click on Become a 2-Minute Activist, and then sign up and fill in your form. And after you sign up and complete that, you will begin to receive emails. The emails might come with personal names, which was a little disconcerting to me because I don't always open emails from names I don't know. But the names that came to me were Kate Nielsen, Robin Lucas, and Leticia Tomas. And they will also come from the AAU Action Fund as well. Open the email, and if you agree with the argument they're presenting, like take action to support this, take action to support that, press the take action button. Then you might be asked to enter more information so that AAUW can determine who is the appropriate senator and who is the appropriate representative to which to direct the emails that they will send out on your behalf. You may be asked to enter some information again, but then a page will open up and there is an already composed email. You may personalize it if you wish, or you can send it out as is, and then you are a 2-minute activist. So far this year, we've been requested to take action on the Paycheck Fairness Act, Raise the Wage Act, Family and Medical Insurance Leave, the Equality Act, the American Rescue Plan, For the People Act, Healthy Families Act, and the ERA to lift the ERA arbitrary deadline for ratification. That sounds like a lot, like you may be getting a lot of emails, but actually you will not, perhaps 2 a month. And if you looked at how long it took to say, I agree, or send off your messages, it's probably 20 minutes of your time from January through this month. So I encourage you to consider that. I think our voices need to be heard. Even though perhaps our senators are in alignment with some of the things we believe in, they still need to hear from us that we are encouraging them to take action and support these bills that are presented in the House and in the Senate. So consider becoming a 2-minute activist. I think it's well worth your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. I appreciate that. Okay. Let's move on. Next on our list is the birthday celebrations. So again, let me share my screen and show you who had birthdays this month. Okay. Let me get this going here. All right. Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. Let me bring up the right one here. Oops. Got to bring it up again. Oh, shoot. Hold on just a second. Okay, there we go. There we go. Can everybody see that? I hope.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me try it again. For some reason, it's not. Let me try it one more time.
We briefly saw the birthday cake in the list at the beginning.
Yeah. Why isn't it on here? Oh, there it is. Did that do it?
No.
Can you see it now?
No.
No. All right. I'm just not sure what's happening here and why it's not bringing it up for me. Let
The
me,
October birthdays there, PPTX.
I
Yeah,
know,
we see a screen with all of them listed.
I know.
With the
Now I've,
dates, with the months listed, not the
Yeah,
name.
the months listed, right?
I know, but now I've lost everything. Hold on.
DP is PowerPoint.
Okay, let me stop share. There we go. I'm sorry. Okay, let me just read you the names. I think that'd be the easiest thing to do here. So I gotta find them again. There it is. Okay. Birthday wishes this month go out to Sue Angel, Susan Baggasser, Antoinette Brennan, Catherine Brown, Judy Dodds, Margie Fuller, Kelsey Gormley, Rebecca Gillian, Ann Harding, Teresa Lance, Sally Lealoa, Evelyn O'Prey, Hester Turbin, and Patricia Zappia. So happy birthday, everybody. And then now we have one more thing that we need to share here too. If I still have it up here, I don't think I do. Let me get it going here. Okay, there we go. All right, what we need to talk about here for a few minutes and share with you is, there we go. We have some celebrations for numbers of years of being memberships of belonging to AAUW. Getting 5-year pins this year will be Susan Bangasser, Paula Farah-Billigan, Mary Lou Guerrero, Stephanie Harlan, Joyce Heitmeyer, Martha Lehman, Kate Pretorius, Linda Richards, Diane Shimoda, Barbara Simmons, Carol Townsend, and Patricia Zappia. For 10 years, who they joined in 2010, is Ann Leonard, Denise Westcott, and Sue Young. 15 years is Dolores Barrett, Jane Henry, Linda Rowland. 25 years is Kimberly Cousins, Kathy Curtis, Odegaard, Catherine Schilling, Erica Wilson. And for 30 years, we have Janice Jacobson, Pamela Ong, and Irene Vitt. And the big one, 50 years, is Shar Burgess. Shar becomes a permanent member of AAUW, being a 50-year member. So congratulations, everybody. And our membership committee is planning on holding a special celebration next year and giving out the pins personally to everybody when we can meet back together in person again. So we just wanted to mention that to everybody tonight. All right, next on the list is we have the approval of the April minutes. I sent out those minutes to everybody when I sent you the link for the meeting tonight. Is there any corrections that anybody needs to make to any of the meeting, to the minutes? Please type it in the Q&A section if you have any corrections that you need to make. I'll give it a few minutes here. Okay. Looks like the minutes have been approved. So the minutes will be filed. And next we need to approve the March financials. And again, I shared the March financials with everybody in the email that I sent out to you. Any questions on the budget report? Ellen can answer those questions if you have any. You need to type those in the Q&A section if you have any questions that you need to. Okay, I don't think we have any questions here either. So the financial reports will be filed for audit. Okay, now announcements. Is there anybody that has an announcement that they need to make? If you need to make an announcement, anybody that's a panelist, raise your hand. Anybody?
Just
Okay.
announcing that this Thursday, May 6th, is the racial justice meeting, and we should all have read The Sum of Us by, I'm blanking, Heather McGee.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have an announcement they need to make? Martha?
Okay, well, I can say that our next meeting, Saturday, June the 5th, our speaker will be Susan Park. She's the founder of the Asian Americans for Housing, and she will be talking about her experiences of living through the many cycles of anti-Asian sentiment and violence since she's lived here since she was 5 years old down in LA. And her family runs a restaurant on Skid Row that's a charitable foundation. It should be very interesting. And then I would also like to, jumping ahead, since that will be the last meeting of this year, we are all hoping to be back, keep your fingers crossed, that on September 11th back at the Casa Loma room at the U of R. So in person, which is what we're hoping for. So keep your date books, mark that down, September 11th, and we'll be filling you in with more information as we get it. So thank you so much.
All righty. And the June meeting, we will also have the installation of officers for next year that will be taking place at that meeting as well. So, all right. Any other announcements anybody needs to make? Don't think so. Well, it's been a long meeting for us, but it's been a good one and had lots of interesting information given to us about all kinds of topics. So glad we're have another under our belt here. And we have one more to go for me for this year as president, and that will be the June meeting. So board members, do not forget that we have board meeting next Monday night at 6 o'clock. I will be sending out the link for that shortly, later this week. If you have any items that you need to bring up for discussion at the board meeting, please let me know so I can put it on the agenda. Okay, anything else anybody need to add for the good of the order? All right, enjoyed it. See you next month, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.